Welcome to episode 241 of the Ross Bolen Podcast, otherwise known as RBP 241, presented by Bolen Media. I am your host, Ross Bolen, here today with co-host and producer Mike Moody. Mike, in terms of seasonal preference, you strike me as a pro-winter guy. I think you even made a comment yesterday. You said something like, I was complaining, and you were like, oh, I love it. You enjoy this dark and cold?
I really do, yeah. I'm an indoor guy, if you couldn't tell. And I like layering, even though I just have a T-shirt on right now. But I have a jacket out there. I just like layering.
It's funny, whenever people see us, they always say, like, you guys are so tan and just jacked, and you look like you'd be outdoorsmen, just rock climbing on cliff faces at all times and spending time on the beach with...
People often mistake me for a lumberjack.
Yeah, and then they're shocked when we tell them, we actually spend most of our time indoors recording podcasts. I'm clearly conflicted on where I stand with winter as a season. Right, but I'll say this, every year I get excited for the change, just like before each summer I get excited for summer, and then it comes, and after a few weeks I'm like, fuck this, it's too hot. Everyone is smelly and sweaty and disgusting, and it's too hot to even step outside. In the winter, it's like the same deal. It's 3 weeks in, and I'm like, fuck this, I haven't seen the sun or felt the warmth of another human's flesh in too long. I'm losing my mind. The heater is drying out my skin. And my lungs. I feel like I can't breathe. Right. There aren't enough layers of clothes on Earth to warm my trembling bones, and I reached that point today, November 13th. I didn't even make it to Thanksgiving, and I'm out.
Already? It's been like 2 days.
I'm done.
What?
This is ridiculous. It's too cold. I don't have the proper equipment to handle such climate.
Equipment?
I don't have it.
You have a heater. You have
It's not about
sweaters.
It's not even about things you can add. It's about my legs mostly.
Oh,
yeah.
If I could pan down to your legs, I would right now.
You know what I'm saying? There's no meat to warm the bones. So they're just in there freezing. It's awful.
I feel odd. I'm just staring at your legs now.
Yeah, I know. It's very distracting. Very distracting. I always when I'm in public, dude, this is not a joke. Routinely during the summer in public, if I'm wearing shorts and I'm in let's say I'm in line at a Chipotle, I'll catch a few people, doesn't matter what sex, men, women, looking down at my legs like, is he okay? You know what I mean? They're trying to decide.
I think you're
They're
just paranoid about it.
No, I swear to God. Come on, I have abnormally skinny chicken legs, and it's I'll catch somebody on
tall.
occasion. Yeah, and I'm tall. I'm 6'2", so it's I'm Gumby-ish, and people are like, what's the deal? I feel like some people stare at them and they're like, why doesn't he just get calf implants? Why doesn't he just go?
Well, those cost money.
Sure. I don't know how much. You'd have to ask Johnny Drama. But
oh, you researched it, Ross.
Yeah, who am I kidding, Mike? I've spent hours and hours reading about calf implants online. But on the way to the studio today, as I often do, I was admiring the handiwork of our Osteen homeless here in Austin, Texas. And if somebody isn't doing this already, I'm confident somebody probably is. But if somebody isn't doing this already, someone out there, a young, talented, what is this phrase? Ne'er-to-do filmmaker? Ne'er-do-well, thank you.
Maybe.
That's what I was looking for. Filmmaker needs to come and make a documentary about the homeless in this city, Austin, Texas. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dude, did you know San Francisco exists? This has all already taken place 20 years ago. You guys are way behind.
Yeah.
It's a different type of deal.
Yeah.
And I'm confident in that. The homeless in San Francisco are mostly smearing their poo on things and creating art that way. Our homeless are there are homeless. There's got to be homeless people under the bridge with construction degrees or something because they're building stuff, man.
Right.
They're creating things down there.
Yeah.
It's getting weird, Mike.
Well, the last I heard was, the government was allowing them to build camps out there as just to try to help them.
To give them some type of shelter.
Exactly,
sure.
To give them a shelter.
From the elements.
But then Greg Abbott came in and started sending crews out there to shut down the camps.
Yes,
which
it's very confusing.
Last week, yeah.
So camps are going up, they're being torn down, and now the homeless are innovating different ways and with different materials. I passed a 3-bedroom condo made of just the plastic postal boxes. You know what I'm talking about? The ones that open two ways at the top.
Right.
600 of those stacked up to block from the wind and the cold, creating a domicile.
Not bad.
And then on the outside, all right, so how are the boxes? There's a whole bunch of computer chairs stacked up. They're creating if you were a cop walking up to this, I don't even know how you would handle it. Excuse me, bear fucker. I don't know what you do. There's no doorbell. You're like, hello in there.
May I enter your poorly constructed domicile.
Come out. Do you need a warrant?
Yeah,
I don't know how any of that works, but it feels like if you were going to say there's a scoreboard and there's the those with home and then the homeless in Austin, I think the homeless are catching up. And at some point they might overtake us. It's gonna be interesting to watch, Mike. I'm fascinated by our homeless situation.
And it's in flux, so there'll be more to talk about soon.
No shit. And just for the record, like, I'm not shitting on homeless people, no pun intended. I understand that homeless people in many cases are driven there by mental illness or addiction or life circumstances otherwise unavoidable. It's not about knocking the homeless. It's simply about observing what they've got going. And in Austin, it's the craziest situation because much like San Francisco, we are a city that's very much like being, I don't want to say torn apart by income gaps and the way that, what is the word for when a neighborhood gets turned out and they make it all nice and flip it and sell it? Gentrification. Yeah. We're being gentrified like crazy, and it's just created this incredibly strange environment with a lot of homeless people and the city's struggling to figure out how to handle it, and it's San Francisco-y, but we're, like I said, like probably like 20 years before them in terms of the development of it all, and it's just getting wild. Is it just me, or does it feel like it's getting crazier out there?
It's definitely getting crazier.
It is getting crazier out there. Yeah. RBP 241 is also brought to you by Leesa, your mattress, the most important purchase you're going to make for your home, because you're not homeless, whether you're in a studio apartment or maybe you are under 71. I have no idea. But you could still get yourself a Leesa, and because you're an RBP listener, you can save big time, 15% off any mattress from Leesa. Leesa makes the most comfortable mattress in the entire world. I've slept on their Hybrid by Leesa for over 3 years now. Their most advanced luxury hybrid mattress made with premium foams and springs for enhanced pressure relief with edge-to-edge support. It is phenomenal, designed to be the best of both worlds, the Hybrid. I believe everything that they make at Leesa is an incredible product. I have 3 of their pillows. I have a blanket from Leesa that's on my couch that I use every day. All of their stuff is incredibly comfortable, so soft, so comfy, so cozy. The mattress is just next level. Not too soft, not too hard. The Hybrid, I thoroughly enjoy it. Recommend it to every single person I come across. Leesa donates 1 mattress for every 10 they sell as an example of their social impact initiatives tied to each purchase is in an effort to make customers know that they've made the right choice going with Leesa. To date, they've donated more than 33,000 mattresses through more than 1,000 nonprofits to organizations that work in causes like foster care prevention. Their mattresses are made in the USA. Leesa has in-home delivery and setup available, also financing available for those who need it. Don't miss out, RBP gang. Live healthier, live happier by resting deeper on the most comfortable bed in the world today. I recommend the Hybrid. The regular Leesa is phenomenal too. They hooked my Mimi up with one in her memory care unit. She has Alzheimer's, and she had a terrible bed in there for whatever reason. And I was like, damn, we got to do something about this. We have a bed sponsor, Leesa, what's the deal? And they sent her a Leesa by Leesa, and it is also incredibly comfortable. I've laid on it firsthand. Their stuff is great. Everything they make is great. Order today. Get 15% off any mattress for a limited time at leesa.com/RBP, as in Ross Bolen Podcast. Use the code RBP. That's LEESA.com/RBP. Promo code RBP. Keep in mind, you also get 100-night risk-free trial plus free shipping and returns. Couple of announcements. We've got to get these Patreon numbers up, folks, before 2020 hits. Okay? It's important. We're trying to get up high. We're like around 1,000 again. That's where we've been for like, I don't know, 8 months? Nah, maybe not. The whole existence of the Patreon. We've been around the same number since like the first 2 weeks. We like grew up to 1,000, and then it was like, and then we've just been there. And that's not all in part due to y'all or like a lack of support or love or anything like that. It's just sort of the way that the Patreon unfolded. It was like, all right, you get 2 additional ad-free episodes a month, you get some columns and shit, and that was sort of it at the beginning. That's no longer the case. There is all kinds of stuff. I mean, you're getting video of almost every episode. Full video of this episode you're listening to right now will be on Patreon. Also, episode 240, 239, 237. Full video for at least 8 episodes. I was trying to count like real quickly on the way over here. At least 8, maybe 10. And, 8 and 10, yeah, and the idea is that moving forward, we're going to continue. We're going to get video for every single episode. Also, shouts to everybody who's watching live on twitch.com/bossrollin right now. The idea being that you'll be able to tune into this show live on Twitch. If you miss it on Twitch, the video's gone, and then it's only in one place. And right now, that one place is patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. So you've always been able to listen to the show. Now you can watch it Okay, support the show, get more ad-free exclusive RBP, get video of episodes, and then now, maybe most importantly even, be one of the only members of the RBP gang to have a shot at the first official batch of RBP merchandise produced by Bolen Media coming soon, in the next few weeks soon, like very, very soon, in time for Christmas soon, patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. You can follow our show on Instagram at the Ross Bolen Podcast, where every day we fill up our Instagram story with photos and videos sent in by our listenership, the RBP gang. You can check that out. It's fucking hilarious. I do not think there's one up right now. I will be doing today's story, after I leave the studio. We're also on Twitter at Ross Bolen Podcast, and you can find us on Facebook if you're the middle-aged aunt of one of our listeners. Some amends. I forgot the movie Unbroken. Great war movie. Also book. I believe Angelina Jolie made the movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she did.
It's a war movie, so I don't think many of you were like, "Oh, I wonder if it'll be happy." It is. It is very. Just saying, like, warning. It's very brutal.
Yeah.
In a different kind of way. It's mostly about these POWs who are being tortured in a Japanese POW camp, and it's.
Yeah. There's an unofficial sequel to that movie.
Huh?
That was made by a.
How do you do an unofficial sequel?
Well, they told what happened. Here's the deal: the main character of that movie, I believe, became a Christian when he came back home.
Okay.
And some Christian movie company made that story.
Oh, dude, you know what's funny?
Yeah.
Well, it's not funny. You know how I peruse the Apple trailers thing pretty constantly? Like, not a trailer comes out that gets past me. I'm not kidding at this point.
Me too.
It's
I love
fucking bizarre. But I'm in there every night like, all right, what's new?
Yeah.
And it'll be, you know how they have featured
I will
ones?
judge now.
Yeah. They have featured ones, and it'll be,
yeah.
I need to judge immediately. And I need to know what to be excited for as far out as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that I can start hyping it and destroying it. Anyway, I was in there, and I saw the trailer for that movie.
Okay.
And I watched it, and I was like, while I appreciate the sentiment, I'm not sure this was needed or necessary.
No. Yeah.
It was about him going back, though, right?
I don't know.
Because he goes back.
Okay.
And he meets the main. For those of you who haven't watched Unbroken, I apologize.
Right.
Hit skip a few times. He goes back and he meets the main prison guard, and they like make amends and shit.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they maybe have become friends or something crazy. Like I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But there is like an unbelievable follow up to the movie and the book Unbroken that does go that direction. I think it's called Path to Redemption.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was my? Oh yeah. So I forgot to mention Unbroken in my great war movies. I actually saw that one in theaters, and it was another example of one that really like you just leave like, damn man, like the strength of the main character and what he goes through, and his refusal to break. Under the worst conditions that I could imagine. Well, maybe not that I could imagine. There were some other pretty bad conditions in World War II that you could use as examples. But holy shit, it's a great one.
Do you think Angelina should direct more movies? Did you like that one? I mean, in terms of like,
I think she should do it. I mean, everything I've seen from her so far has been great. Was Changeling the first one she directed?
Oh, that's right.
And it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that
I
was
didn't see that one.
But it was really, really good, man. I mean, it's not fun. It's devastating and incredibly painful to watch.
Seems like she's really into making those stories. She's really hard to watch.
She's a darker chick. She's always kind of had that, like, yeah. I mean, she used to, like, make out with her brother on the red carpet and shit. She had a vial of Billy Bob Thornton's blood around her neck.
I remember that.
You know what I mean?
I remember that.
You don't go from that to making not dark shit.
Yeah.
Now it's time to start the show. By the way, Mike, with an all-time badass great Stuff to Wikipedia with your high, maybe the most excited I've been for a Stuff to Wikipedia when you're high. And what I said a year, Mike. Hit it. Hit the Stuff to Wikipedia when you're high music.
Grab your light. This is Stuff to Wikipedia when you're high.
Stuff to Wikipedia when you're high.
Oh yeah. That's good stuff. Love it. It always gets me in the zone. Today's Stuff to Wikipedia when you're high is Lake Nyos. Nyos. It's spelled Nyos. Okay, but to the best of my knowledge, based on a very limited Google search, where I typed in Lake Nyos pronunciation, I believe it's Lake Nyos.
I'm looking in the notes.
Uh-huh.
The way you phonetically spell out.
Nyos.
Yeah.
Nyos.
It makes me want to go Nyos.
Nayo. I that's just what we're going with. If that's incorrect, then you guys can figure it out on your own. I tweeted this yesterday, but like you don't realize how many words you mispronounce until you have a podcast. And then you get through like 200 episodes and you realize most of the words, it turns out, in the English language, you're saying incorrectly your entire life. Most people don't know that. You have to have a podcast in order to find out. Okay, this lake is a crater lake in the northwest region of Cameroon. Okay, it's in Africa.
I know people from Cameroon. I had 2 friends from Cameroon.
No shit.
Yeah.
West Central Africa, I want to say, is my description of where it is. About 315 kilometers northwest of Yaoundé, the capital. Okay. Now, Nyos is a deep lake. It's high on the flank of where is this? Where is this? What do you say? What do you do when you hit a space bar accidentally? That was an accident. Of an inactive volcano in the Oku volcanic plain along the Cameroon line of volcanic activity. Now, this is all very important. The location, all this the word volcano you keep hearing, all the volcanic activity. There's a volcanic dam that impounds the lake waters, okay? There's a pocket of magma lying beneath the lake.
Magma.
Liquid, hot magma that leaks carbon dioxide, CO2 for the scientists out there, into the water, okay? Changes it into carbonic acid. Nyos is one of only 3 known exploding lakes to be saturated with carbon dioxide in this way. The others being Lake Monaun, also in Cameroon, Lake Kivu in the Democratic Republic of the Congo in Rwanda. Now, here's where this gets crazy, and you're going to want to pay attention. In 1986, the year before my birth, possibly as the result of a landslide, the fact that it's still not known exactly how this happened is a bit problematic to me. And Mike, here's your line.
All right.
Lake Nyos suddenly emitted a large cloud of CO2, which suffocated 1,746 people and over 3,500 livestock in nearby towns and villages.
The lake did this.
The lake did this. We are being attacked by lakes. The happening has been happening since back in '86, and we didn't even know.
What's happening? It's the happening.
I want to know how this one has never come across my desk before. And it was recommended to me. I can't remember if it was somebody on Twitch or on
Wait, it suffocated 1,700 people?
It killed these people, Mike.
It killed these people.
And if you're waiting,
because you don't come back from suffocation.
No, because if you're waiting for like a loophole, and then they were all saved. They're like, and then those people are dead. They're dead. They're all dead and gone. Okay. Now I'm going to explain to you how this occurs, as best I can, based on very limited Wikipedia research while incredibly stoned. This, first of all, not unprecedented, but it was the first large-scale asphyxiation caused by a natural event. Now, to prevent a reoccurrence, a degassing tube that siphons water from the bottom layers of the lake to the top, allowing the carbon dioxide to leak in safe quantities, was installed in 2001. 2 additional tubes were installed in 2011. The lake also poses a threat because its natural wall is weakening. A geological tremor could cause this natural levee to give way, allowing water to rush into the downstream villages all the way into Nigeria and allowing large amounts of carbon dioxide to escape. By the end of this segment, you are going to think that Lake Nyos is perhaps the most dangerous entity on the face of the earth.
Nyos.
But yeah, so jumping back to the 1986 disaster, okay, a gas cloud rises at nearly 62 miles an hour. And then being heavier than air, it descends down into the nearby villages. It displaces all the air and the oxygen and suffocates the people and the livestock, all of them, within 16 miles of the lake. So imagine you're just going about your life, living your day, and you just happen to be within 16 miles of some fucking lake that flips out for some nature reason. And that's it. You're done.
We talked earlier how about we're indoor people. This might be why.
It's at least part of it now.
Yeah.
It's going to feed into me not leaving the house the rest of the day, Mike. Because I was worried about all the other things, the terrorists.
I was subconsciously afraid of the earth itself. Now I'm really afraid of it.
I've been worrying about the wrong shit.
Yeah.
The terrorists, both domestic and foreign, the government, the criminals. I should have been paying attention to the fucking lakes.
The lakes are out to get you. Yeah.
All along. People talk about the Great Lakes. They don't talk about the bad lakes, the ones that do the bad things to people and kill. It's like almost 2,000 people. So normally blue water, right, in this lake. Not when this occurrence happened. It turned deep red afterward, after the outgassing, as it's called, due to the iron-rich water from the deep rising to the surface and being oxidized by the air. This also might be the most scientific segment we've ever done. the level of the lake dropped by about a meter, and trees near the lake were knocked down. So that rapid of like a like just shit getting leveled, like the air getting sucked out, all these people. So, by the way, a lot of these people were asleep. So if you're looking for some like silver lining, I guess that's probably a silver lining for some of you. Personally, I'm not really trying to go in my sleep. I'm not. You just, because you don't know.
You want to feel that death?
Yeah. No, I'm serious.
Okay.
You get one death, and it's going to be horrible no matter what, right? Don't you want to experience that as a human being? You could argue it's your one great experience as a human being, is death, right? Emily Dickinson.
That's one way to look at it. Yeah.
We're gonna read an Emily Dickinson poem. No, nobody's got one.
If you want.
I don't have one prepared, Mike. I don't have one prepared. Okay, so scientists concluded from evidence that this whole event, it sent a 330-foot column of water and foam that formed at the surface of the lake, spawning a wave of at least 82 feet that swept the shore on one side. Now, keep in mind, this is unrelated to, or it's not unrelated to, but it did not directly. The wave is not killing anyone. Okay? This is just happening. This is just part of the thing as a result of all the CO2 exchange and an 82-foot wave. When you go surfing, and you're like, there's 15-footers out there today, man. We're going to get gnarly. We're going to get out there, and we're just going to, look at those waves crash. A 15-footer is a big wave. 82 feet is like you don't want that. I don't want that anyway. Some of you may.
I don't.
May want that, but I do not. It is not known what triggered this catastrophic outgassing. Is it ever good when a gas escapes? It's always a bad thing. It's never good, is it?
I mean, unless it's a practical joke on somebody.
It's nature. This is Mother Nature queefing, and 1,700 people died as a result. That's disgusting.
Silent but deadly.
Hey, but at least we know the reasoning. There goes my water bottle, Mike.
Dropping things.
Every day. It's a tradition. It's a new tradition here. I put things all over the table, and then I knock them off as the show goes on. Yeah. By the end of the show, there's nothing on the table. So most geologists suspect that there was a landslide, and that it caught, because that's the only way to explain that quick shift, right? That much coming out, that much going in. But some believe that a small volcanic eruption may have occurred on the bed of the lake. A third possibility is that cool rainwater falling on one side of the lake triggered the overturn, like the difference in temperature between one side and the water entering in the water that was already there. Others still believe there was a small earthquake, but because witnesses did not report feeling any tremors on the morning of the disaster, that's a pretty unlikely hypothesis. It resulted in the supersaturated deep water rapidly mixing with the upper layers of the lake, where the reduced pressure allowed the stored CO2 to effervesce out of a solution, which of course is just word garble to a simpleton like me. Science, bitch. The cloud hugged the ground and moved down to the valleys where there were various villages, and the mass was about 160 feet thick, okay, and traveled downward at like 12 to 32 miles an hour, just sweeping down in there. For roughly 14, 16 miles, the gas cloud was concentrated enough to suffocate people in their sleep in the villages of Nyos, Cam, Ka, and Subum. S-U-B-U-M. Subum. About 4,000 inhabitants fled the area. Many of those developed respiratory problems later on, lesions, paralysis as a result of the gas cloud. Here's one survivor's account, and this is going to terrify you if you weren't scared already. Happy fucking hump day. One survivor, Joseph Niquane from Subum, whatever, described himself when he woke up after the gases had struck, okay? So this guy wakes up, okay? Here's his quote. I could not speak. I became unconscious, so he's in and out. I could not open my mouth because then I smelled something terrible. I heard my daughter snoring in a terrible way, very abnormal. When crossing to my daughter's bed, I collapsed and fell. I was there till 9 o'clock in the morning the next day, until a friend of mine came and knocked at my door. I was surprised to see that my trousers were red, had some stains like honey. I saw some starchy mess on my body. My arms, that's me every morning. My arms had some wounds. I didn't really know how I got these wounds. I opened the door. I wanted to speak. My breath would not come out. My daughter was already dead. I went into my daughter's bed thinking that she was still sleeping. I slept until it was 4:30 in the afternoon on Friday, so he passes back out. Then he manages to get over to his neighbor's house. They're all dead. He decides to leave. He's going to try to make his way to WUM. He says, I got to my motorcycle. A friend whose father had died left with me for WUM. As I rode through Nyos, I didn't see any sign of any living thing. And when I got to WUM, I was unable to walk, even talk. My body was completely weak. Obviously this is scary because it's first of all without reason. Second of all, it's not a thing that most of us knew was a possibility that lakes could attack with exploding lakes dropping CO2 bombs on us and our towns. Didn't know that was a thing that we had to worry about. Pretty scary. But the experience to imagine that, it reminds me of like Pompeii, whatever, the great city that got covered by volcanic ash, and it preserved all those people, and that you can see it reminds me sort of that. There's like these horrifying natural events that can occur on our planet on occasion, not often, that will take people out. And when they do, it's just like when there's no rhyme or reason other than Mother Nature felt like it, it's scary, obviously.
Yeah, it's not like this was a man-made.
Right.
You know, it wasn't a reaction to something that we did to the planet.
Well, at least not to my knowledge, or to the scientists that write Wikipedia.
Right.
Now, it is a possibility that other volcanic gases were released along with the CO2 because some survivors reported a smell of gunpowder or rotten eggs, which indicates like sulfur dioxide or hydrogen sulfide were present at concentrations above their odor thresholds. But CO2 was the only gas detected in samples of lake water, suggesting that it was the predominant gas released and as such, the main cause of the incident. Then, to close it out, there is an area at the very bottom of the Wikipedia page for Lake Nyos that says, return of population.
Wait, they came back from the dead?
Why do we always have to? No zombies here, Mike.
Okay.
No lake zombies, no CO2 zombies. I too got to the end and was excited for that prospect. Perhaps the dead would rise back and then maybe attack that would start the zombie army that would then eventually take over the whole world. But no, that's not the case. For whatever reason, when things go horribly wrong, if it's man-made like at Chernobyl, or it's natural like here at Lake Nyos, we cannot accept that an area is not for us or that we need to stay. So of course people return. Of course people, despite the risks from carbon dioxide and the collapse of the lake's retaining wall, the area is being resettled. Because why wouldn't it be?
Wow.
Settlers cite the wish to return to ancestral lands. And then there's
rent is cheap, people.
This is fantastic. Parentheses, although some are newcomers. What are you doing?
Wow.
Who reads this?
Rent is cheap.
Or hears this stuff to Wikipedia when you're high and then goes, you know what? I'm moving to Lake Nyos. Is this just suicidal people and people who wish to have assisted suicide that can't get it, and now they're moving to the lake in hopes that it will one day queef again and murder them all? Is that what it is? That's what I suspect.
Then you have to be like dependent on it, you know?
Yeah.
Do you watch Silicon Valley on HBO?
Yeah, I'm about 3 seasons behind.
Okay.
Is Lake Nyos mentioned at some point?
No, there's Huli, the big monopoly that they're always fighting against.
They're always doing battle
There's a new plot line where like Huli is going under and they need to really downsize.
Okay.
And so one of the options they have is to move the company as close to the border of the Chernobyl disaster as possible because rent's really cheap there.
Got to find loopholes, Mike.
Yeah.
2019, shit out there in Silicon Valley is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's crazy though, man. That's crazy that apparently the other reason being given is the fertility of the land. Like, is that not a problem that can be solved with one sign? Like one big sign or like one guy with a megaphone? Like on the road to Lake Nyos, just like, turn back. This is a horrible fucking idea.
Or like a fence?
There are other places to plant crops,
folks.
Wall,
a border wall, if you will.
Your ancestors...
a border fence?
I understand wanting to be where your ancestors were.
Yeah.
But not if the area where they were single-handedly led to their demise.
No.
That's not how it works. Your ancestors don't want you to go to the lake. They're all dead because of it.
People are weird about...
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Ancestral properties, right?
And geographical locations.
Exactly, yeah.
We want to own
the
earth.
We have wars about that shit.
All the time. For the entire human existence. We want to own the earth. It's bizarre. When it's constantly telling us and giving us signs like, this is not yours.
Yeah.
You're completely not in control here, Chief. But for whatever reason,
you're renting here.
Yeah. Also, a Greek novel by a man's name I will not even attempt to pronounce. Last name I will. Drolias. Drolias, focusing on the Lake Nyos disaster. He wrote a Greek novel. It was published in 2016. If you wanted to read an entire Greek novel about the Lake Nyos disaster, I've got you covered. That's what I do here. Next segment. Drake booed off stage for not being Frank Ocean. This is a thing that really happened. Like in the last 3 days. It happened over the weekend at Camp Flognaw, which is if you haven't figured this out, or if you haven't noticed yet, or if you're old and you're not paying attention, or you don't give a shit, I'll explain this to you very quickly. The most prominent and popular musicians of our age, of our day, of 2019, moving into 2020, have all figured out, I think maybe as a result of Drake and his, whatever the name of, OVO Fest or whatever in Canada that he does in Toronto every year, they've all figured out that they can do their own music festivals. And then all they have to do at these music festivals is essentially set up a stage, a giant stage, hire like one dude to, it's probably a bunch of dudes, but you get the idea.
It's not just one dude.
And they invite their friends.
Right.
All their musician friends, like, okay, Tyler, the Creator's friends with, A$AP Rocky, and, Drake and Frank Ocean, and then that's it.
Throw a party.
And they make a couple $1,000,000, I think, in a weekend, and everybody gets to sort of have fun and perform and shit, and that's sort of what Camp Flognaw is too. Now, the story here being that for years, Tyler, the Creator, the head of this festival, this camp, if you must, who's a great rapper. I love Tyler. He's a great artist, musician. I don't even think you can call him a rapper anymore. His most recent album contained very little rap, more singing, more. It just, you got to go listen to it. I don't even know how you describe his music at this point. He's very much a genre-busting artist, and he is incredible. And his old shit that was very much rap, I loved too. Anyway, he's been reserving a slot. So when you go to a music festival, they got all the headliners and all the underlings under the. So he's always had one that he just puts like question marks, right? So it's basically like a special guest who can, who's the biggest. I'm guaranteeing you that he probably goes into this like without even knowing sometimes. Like, who's the biggest, baddest friend I can get to come show up and do the show? And this year, people expected Frank Ocean to be that guest.
Okay.
And apparently
it wasn't announced.
No.
Right.
And apparently there were all these little hints. People, I don't know how to explain this very well, but I've been a part of this phenomenon. Frank Ocean fans, Odd Future fans as a whole, Tyler, the Creator, and his whole squad, they're a very strange group. And they love the internet and digging into things. And Frank is an incredibly private man. Every member of Odd Future has this incredibly strange story for their come up in the game and music, and there's just something about this fan base that Tyler has, that Frank has, that is, I don't know how else to put, just weird. It's just a weird, very tightly knit, strange group of people. Okay, that again, I admit to being part of. Like, I've been on the internet going down the rabbit hole about like Frank and Tyler's childhood or whatever. Their one boy, their friend that got shipped off to Africa by one of his parents. I was down that whole fucking rabbit hole when that was all going on, trying to find that dude, and then he came over and he ended up not being that great, but I was stoked for him at one point. Like, I've been in all that. And these people thought there were enough hints and little secrets hidden to make people think this is going to be Frank Ocean. We're going to get Frank Ocean this year. There was quotes from fans like, we've been going to Camp Flognaw for some years now, and people have been setting the expectation for themselves each year that it's actually going to be Frank. Okay, this is a fan named Adam Gonzalez who told Complex Magazine. Not once did Tyler or anyone else say it would be Frank, but the internet and Reddit was filled with people thinking they cracked the code and it would be Frank.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did Tyler's crew put out false hints at all?
Not that I've seen reported.
Yeah.
That being said, would be the least shocking thing of all time if they did use the internet in an effort to market hype for the concert. But I don't know. I don't think so, though, Mike, because I don't think this guy has to do that type of deal to sell these tickets.
No.
So this year's lineup included a surprise guest performance on Sunday night at 9:55 p.m. So this is to close out the festival, essentially, right? Imagine if the headliner for Sunday night was a question mark.
Right.
We would all go into that, very excited to find out.
Kanye, it's Radiohead.
Who is it? Yeah, we would all go. We'd be very interested in finding out who it was. So people definitely put their money on it being Frank Ocean. Again, people thought Tyler had been dropping clues. Drake comes out. So the setup here is important, first of all. So Tyler kept you can go watch video of this. And he's partially to blame here because he tried to pull off like the nonchalant, like he goes out there at 10 p.m. on Sunday and he starts surprises, okay? He's like, can I bring a couple friends out? He's like real nonchalant about it. Like, we'll just party and like hang for a couple hours and do some music. And everyone's like, yeah, Frank. Like the very first time he says it, Frank, big Frank. Everybody wants Frank Ocean, right? So he brings out like A$AP Rocky. A$AP does a couple songs. People are stoked. He's like, all right, peace. Lil Uzi Vert comes out. He does a couple songs. People are like, okay, cool. Everybody's into it. But the buzz about Frank Ocean potentially coming out continues to build. And again, that doesn't really make sense given the circumstances.
No.
I've never enjoyed a show and been like I'm rooting for the next show.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, it's just a very strange vibe. Like, okay, I like what Little Uzi's doing up there, but man, I can't wait to see Frank. Again, Frank has not been guaranteed to come on stage at any point.
Yeah.
His name is nowhere on the set list. Nothing about this says Frank Ocean is coming out, yet these people cannot let it go. So then he comes out and he's like, I want to bring one more friend out for y'all. And people are like, this is it. This is the moment. It's got to be Frank. Fucking losing their minds. And then out comes Drake, which it's the funniest visual because Tyler's like so cocky with it. You can tell he's so stoked. Like, I'm bringing out Drake, the biggest musician in the world, as a surprise closer to my camp, Flognaw, to my music festival. That's a big deal. I'd be cocky with it too. I get it. But then Drake comes like bouncing out from the side stage like, oh shit. And everybody's like, fuck. Like, there's literally a video of a guy, a white guy, that looks like he's from Osteen. He's a big old dude, first of all. I mean, he's got to be 6'4", 250. Long-ass hair, fucking facial hair. Looks like he listened to death metal, not Frank Ocean.
Right.
Okay? And there's a video, and I don't even know if this has been memed from somewhere else, and then people are just joking that it's from this, but it's allegedly a video of a guy finding out Frank is not coming out. And his scream... It's just as if he's just stumbled into his home and found his entire family dead from a lake queef. He screams. He goes, ah! Like, it's blood-curdling, Mike. It's the most unintentionally funny outburst of human emotion I maybe have ever seen in my entire life. People are irate. So Drake being able to... like, the vibe is weird from the get-go, okay? And Drake he does a couple songs. Remember, every artist preceding him does a couple songs and bounces. Double couple songs, bounces. So Drake does a couple songs, and he's like, it's getting awkward. And he's like, they told me to come out and maybe do 2 or 3 songs for y'all tonight, but I'm going to ask y'all permission because I know this is your festival. I'm going to ask your permission if I can stay up here and turn up with you for a little longer tonight. And like 3 kids in the front are like, yeah. It's very awkward. It's like, and then you hear like, Frank, bring out fucking Frank. Like, it's a completely out of control situation. And again, so he continues. Then from there, like, it's already gotten weird. He sort of did his 2 songs and didn't leave. And people are like, is he staying? Is he going? Is he going to keep going? So again, partially to blame, Tyler, the whole setup is strange. This is very weird. So then he keeps going. He does Going Bad. He does I'm Upset. He does Energy. And then the crowd starts to get frustrated.
Wow.
They're like, what the fuck?
After those tracks?
And again, this is Drake. It's not like they drugged some busted-ass rapper who can't perform up there.
Yeah.
This is one of the greats in terms, and at least at this point, you cannot argue that Drake is one of the great performers in hip-hop history. That's not, you can just look at the ticket sales, and it's not an argument anymore. This is a good show. And he came out like, he's been since quoted saying, like, just wasn't my night, like it was a very humbling experience. He said it was a moment of humility, which is always welcomed.
But he was good, though.
Yes.
Right.
This is an inexplicable situation, though.
Yeah.
Nobody has really given a quote that, like, can make full sense of it. It's just the Frank Ocean phenomenon. It's just something weird about Frank. He puts out an album, like, once every 6 years. It's not cranking out hits, although My Room, the new single, is tight. I'm just saying, Frank... It's just a weird following, man. He does not do live shows, by the way.
Yeah.
He doesn't do them. He's done like, I saw a stat. It was something insane. I think he's done like 7 live shows since 2011.
Yeah.
Or something mind-blowing like that. The motherfucker doesn't leave his house. He's a musical genius freak, and he just cranks out beautiful genius music freak stuff. That's what he does.
Frank Ocean and I have one thing in common.
What's that? Not leaving the house.
We don't like to leave the house.
Me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is not There is no reason to believe that this man was going to be there. The funny thing is, I've seen Frank, and I've said this over and over, but I will continue to brag about it until my dying day. I saw Frank at La Zona Rosa in Austin, which is a venue that no longer even exists.
Yeah.
That probably held like, I don't know what the maximum occupancy
Small,
was.
very small.
But that night that I was there, actually with Taylor on one of our first dates ever, was probably, I want to say 200 people.
Yeah.
In this little room with Frank Ocean on the stage. And I remember it was like right before he blew up and got nominated for all these Grammys and shit. And I was just like, I got a feeling this is going to be one of the coolest things I ever see. And it was just so fucking unreal. Because there's just some people, some artists, even from the get-go. Lizzo's another example that I'll give that I saw early on. And when you can just tell, like, they have the energy to make it bigger than a normal human can. And to get on stage and to magnify their message in a way that normal humans cannot. That's their gift. And it's just something that when you have, you have. And Frank, it goes without saying at this point, but has that. So does Lizzo, who's done quite well for herself since I saw her at Stubbs with like 2 stripper friends on stage, like 2 white girls like shaking ass and leotards, and that was it. I don't even know where I was. The story is just mind-blowing to me because it's Drake and you're booing. But it's not like it's Drake and you're booing because you wanted to see Slipknot. It's Drake and you're booing because you wanted Frank. Drake and Frank, look, I'm not going to say they're comparable in terms of artistry or whatever, but like they're not that far apart from each other. They do a lot of like singing hip-hop songs about being sad and heartbroken and shit.
Genre, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Look, I'm going to say Frank is on a whole other level, and Drake's more of a mainstream rapper and artist than him trying to sell records. Frank's more of an actual artist, but you know, that's not that far of a jump. If I showed up for an actual Frank Ocean show, and they were like, Frank got hit by a truck, he's dead, Drake's coming out, I'd be like, oh, fuck, that sucks, but dude, tight, Drake.
Right.
I'd still be stoked on Drake.
Right.
If I didn't have any idea who was coming out and there was a question mark and then Drake came out, I'd be like, this is the best day of my life. I don't even like Drake that much, but that's a tight moment.
Yeah, I was promised nothing, but I get Drake.
Or I was promised something.
Yeah.
Most things are shitty, and then you got Drake, which is like, it's shitty, but it's not as shitty as it could be.
Right on.
It's going to be an enjoyable time. At the very least, some chicks are going to be psyched. Some dudes, too. Maybe one of them will touch your dick. I don't know. But this situation is just unbelievable. It's mind-blowing. So Drake then, first of all, there's apparently like there's video of the up close stage. Like, okay, you know that gap between the first row and the stage, and how people are always pressed up against it. Like, so when Drake's performing at the top of the performance, that's not a thing. There's no rows pushing up against the front. There's like 3 guys like, I love this song, and then like a gap. And then, like, that dude with the beard and the long hair, the 6'4" guy screaming. Like, no, that he wants Frank. It's the most incredibly strange energy for a show. The reaction just continues to get worse the longer he goes on. People, the hope that maybe Frank will be the next song or the next song just keeps building and building. Just horribly mishandled, almost to the point that you think, like, maybe this was done intentionally for marketing or something, but, like, I always think that with everything now at this point. Every disaster, I'm like, yeah, they did that on purpose for marketing. They're just selling more tickets and getting their brand out there more and more. But, no, I don't know. This might have just been poor planning. So then he kept saying, this is my last song. This is my last song. This one right here, last song.
Please let me finish this song.
And then but trying to use that, it's almost like I get the feeling he knew it wasn't going well. And he was like, all right, maybe if I say last song, people will get stoked for this song, and I can carry that energy. And like maybe he'd get like 3 dudes in the front who were like psyched on that song. He's like, all right, maybe I got this. Maybe the next one, the crowd will turn.
Encore. Yeah.
This happens to me with Call of Duty and Apex Legends a lot. I'm like, all right, last game.
Yeah.
And then like 26 games later, I'm like, I'm the last person there, and there's no one watching on Twitch, and it's very confusing for everyone. And that's how this
last bong hit.
Yeah, exactly. Last bong hit. Last one. Last beer. I've had a lot of lasts in my life that weren't actually the last, although they were supposed to be.
Last episode of Battlestar Galactica. Well,
that's you.
That's me.
That's just you. For me, that'd be Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Breaking Bad.
I've rewatched The Sopranos. Is probably my best example. Last episode of The Sopranos, and then I find myself watching the next one and the next one. But so, yeah, he keeps, I mean, people are just getting more and more confused. And then he goes, okay, here's a quote from a guy that was there, Adam Gonzalez. Even when Drake would go back into another song, the crowd would get hype again, he says. I wish Drake said fuck it and just went back into more songs, because regardless, people were going crazy for him. I wouldn't say the crowd as a whole grew unhappy, but there were a handful of kids who would just yell things out like, one more song! Or when Drake asked if he could play some more, you'd get a handful of people yelling, no! Which is fucking hilarious. He continues, but I really don't think that's the majority. Dude, I would pay $5,000 to go back in time. I'm not joking. That's my sum. $5,000 to go back in time, be front row for this experience, being able to record it all, take it all in. Drake being like, you want one more? And then some dude in the front being like, no! No, I'm the most spoiled Gen Z piece of shit of all time. I don't want more Drake. You're not Frank Ocean. Boo this man! An unbelievable fucking... So he ends it. Finally, he's like so PO'd. He's so fucking bummed out. He's done like 7 or 8 songs. The crowd is pissed. And he goes... this video is everywhere. If you want to keep going, I will keep going tonight. And then like it's like some grumbling, like, no, we don't. Dude, how many songs are you gonna do? Fuck, what has happened? and he doesn't get the response he's looking for. He was expecting like a no, please stay, Drake, like he gets everywhere else, right? So then he goes, well, look, it's been love. I love y'all. I go by the name of Drake. Thank you for having me, and just exits the stage. First of all, he starts his performance by saying, I go by the name of Drake. Then he ends his performance by saying, I go by the name of Drake. We all know your name, sir. You don't have to say that. It's 2011 you could have said that. You're very deep into your career,
He's
sir.
like throwing out his MySpace.
I go by the name of Drake. And people are like, bring out somebody that goes by the name of Frank. God, so he leaves the stage. The crowd stays 20 minutes after, still waiting for more Frank. And if you've ever stayed for an encore and not gotten it, this is like that times 100, and it's the worst. And he said this, Brenna Gonzalez, it made the whole day feel so unfinished. And there was nothing like going to a concert and then having it end and you feeling like it's not over, but it is. And they're like, you got to go home.
That sucks.
And then people slowly trickling out as everybody makes peace with the fact that you're not getting more music. It's a goddamn shame.
And even though it was a great concert, you still feel let down.
Like it's not over, right? Mm-hmm. Well, imagine if you went to the movies and 20 minutes before the movie ended, they just shut the screen off and were like, everybody get the fuck out. You'd be pretty upset.
Yeah.
Now imagine if you went to a movie, let's say Parasite, and you get to the movie theater and you're sitting in your seat and then a guy 2 rows in front of you was like, bring out Frank! What the fuck is this? Because I'm doing that at every show I go to, Mike, for the rest of my life.
Right.
Every movie... I might do it at restaurants.
Are you going to call out for Frank or just random artists?
Just Frank.
Every time?
Just only Frank. Yeah. Waiter shows up to my table. Hi, how are you doing today? Can I help you? Where the fuck is Frank? Who is this bitch? I want Frank. If Drake is my waiter, no. Bring out Frank.
You're going to be a living meme.
It seriously is. We as a society. I mean, we start the top of the show. We're talking about the homeless and how they're the things they're creating, and we don't know where to put our priorities, or our money, our time, our energy. We don't know. I don't know how to help y'all. I can try, but I don't. I'm just saying I don't know that we're at a point where we're yelling at guys named Aubrey that we wish their name was Frank. It's just a strange time. RBP 241 is also brought to you by Away Travel. Away creates thoughtful products designed to change how you see the world. If your luggage is mediocre or shitty, if you are not a luggage person, you need to listen. If you are a luggage person, you're probably familiar with Away. This stuff is phenomenal. They started with the perfect suitcase crafted with features that make travel more seamless. Now they offer a range of essentials that solve real travel problems. So all you have to do is think about where you're headed next. For example, like my suitcase from Away has a phone charger in it, right? So I'm not going to run out of phone battery as quickly. They're incredibly easy. It's got that feature where the what you call it thing that you push down that keeps everything compacted nicely into your suitcase. You can take it on the road, live with it, travel with it, get lost with it. If you decide it's not for you, you can return it. Any non-personalized item from Away anyway for a full refund. No ifs, ands, or asterisks. Free shipping on any Away order within the contiguous U.S., Europe, and Australia. You just go to awaytravel.com/Ross and you use the promo code Ross. You'll get $20 off a suitcase. Visit awaytravel.com/Ross. Use the promo code Ross during checkout. Away Travel, AWAYTRAVEL. If you didn't know how to spell travel, you're an idiot. Awaytravel.com/ROSS. $20 off a suitcase. 100-day trial on everything they make. Again, if you don't like it, if something goes wrong, that's not going to happen, but they've got you. No ifs, ands, or asterisks. Their suitcases are designed to last a lifetime. If any piece of it breaks, they will take care of you. Their customer service team is phenomenal. Suitcases are thoughtfully designed and very durable. Love these things. Lightweight as hell. awaytravel.com/Ross. Next segment. Evaluating the exclamation point.
I got a preview of this one yesterday with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what was it? Will you tell people?
Yeah. We were texting,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of liking my text,
I
you
did the
were
exclamation
doing
point.
the exclamation point, and you seemed very happy about it.
Yeah. Listen, the what is that called? The text message feature that allows you to react to a. Oh wow! I just got a text from AJ that says he says sort of locked down an interview with Brooklyn Decker. I don't know how you sort of do, but sort of anything with Brooklyn Decker seems like it would be a good thing. So whatever,
Yeah.
Mike. What was I looking into? Oh
Way
yeah.
to go, AJ.
Our text. I said I'm all about exclamation points now. This just made me write a bit. Thanks. A bit about exclamation points. My life is so weird. Oh, it was because I said I need your parasite takes, and you said yeah! Exclamation point. And then I said I'm all about exclamation points now, and then you exclaimed on my exclamation points after I had exclaimed on my
Right.
parasite. It was just we were exclaiming.
You know, in text, I use exclamation points a lot because you can't really get tone in text, and I want to put a positive tone on everything. So I'm just like, I guess exclamation point.
Here's the deal. I started out my post-grad career. I never thought too much about exclamation points, never put too much thought or stock into exclamation points or their usage until post-grad, until I graduated from college and got a job in the real world. And I had to start answering emails. Emails in the real professional world are where you first notice people using exclamation points.
Yes.
Because you'll be like, why is this dude, Tom from Dunder Mifflin, so stoked in this email? Why is he being? It made me uncomfortable. Other people's, I guess, lust for life in their exclamation pointing made me uncomfortable, and it was just an awkward vibe. So it used to offend me almost. And really, this is to a bigger point. Your use of exclamation points and your judgment of others' use of exclamation points says a lot about you and where you are as a person, I think.
Okay.
Because it used to make me sick. Like I wanted to fight everybody who used an exclamation point. But then what you find is when you crawl into your early 30s, exclamation points are scattered throughout emails and social media posts you see every day. And those are just the desperate attempts of quarter and midlife crisising human beings to insert some excitement and positivity into their lives. It's all we've got.
Why are you insulting me right now?
That's what we do. I'm serious. It's part of the reason. Those emails, those text messages that your boy or the people your girlfriends or whatever, everybody knows somebody who just over exclaims, can't stop using exclamation points. One of my best friends in the whole world, she's like a sister to me, her name is Megan, she's an over exclaimer. Exclamation point at the end of every sentence in every text message for years. I mean, we made fun of her. For years. Megan, stop putting exclamation points after every single thing you say in text. But she's also an incredibly happy and joyous person that really fit with. Now, if I did that, people would be like, Ross is suicidal or something. We need to send help of some kind. But I am no longer going to knock those who exclaim. Because I've hit that point in my early 30s where some days, man, you just wish somebody was exclaiming a little instead of just saying shit normal.
You're welcome.
I want a little energy.
Yeah.
So thank you. And from now on, anytime somebody uses an exclamation point with me in a text message, I will be pounding my double exclaim. That's what I love about the thing.
It's 2.
It's 2.
On the iPhone, yeah.
Which is what does that mean to you? What does it mean when you, okay, so we all know the heart means I like this or I love this or this makes me happy. What does the double exclamation point response to a text message mean?
Like you're about to come?
Yeah. I'm close.
Yeah.
Don't stop. It can mean so many things. It really can.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this prospect. It can also be like, holy shit, everybody else in this group text, can you believe this person said this? It's often used that way in my group text. It has taken on it's a whole new deal. These response emotes or whatever the shit they're called. There's like 700 different ways we can express ourselves at this point. Bring out Frank. I hope there's somebody listening to this show right now just yelling that in their car. You know? I'm serious. I really do. Next segment, Kanye West to speak at Joel Osteen Church.
This is tailor-made
I don't even
for your
want to
show.
talk about this,
This
Mike.
is tailor-made for your show.
I don't even want to, but I have to.
You have to by law.
I do. From the Houston Chronicle, Kanye West will actually attend. First of all, for those of you who are not familiar with Joel Osteen, I'm going to assume you're familiar with Kanye West. Joel Osteen is in. How would you? You know what? I'm going to use the Wikipedia version because I don't want to use. I almost called him an evangelical
Evangelical preacher?
evangelicus?
I think so.
Televangelist, pastor, author.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a big church.
He's Tony Robbins for the Christian set.
Basically, yes. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. Except that he got in very big trouble during Hurricane Harvey for basically refusing to open the doors to what is the former Summit. It's where I grew up going to Rockets games.
Right.
The Summit is now Joel Osteen's church.
His church.
So the place I grew up going to watch Hakeem Olajuwon dominate David Robinson is the place where Joel goes every Sunday to talk about God and pass the concessions.
Well, the odd thing about him is that he doesn't really quote the Bible very much, or really talk. He talks about God in very like loose terms,
generalities. Lots of talk about faith and spirituality,
and he speaks a lot about wealth prosperity. So
does he really?
Yeah.
Well, I've never gone to a Joel sermon. I'll just be upfront.
I've listened to podcasts with him. Yeah.
I'll just be honest. I'm not a Joel Osteen. If you're from Houston,
I'm not a Joel Osteen.
If you're from Houston or you're from Texas, he's either somebody who you attend his service or someone you mock. You're literally one or the other.
Right.
You either make fun of him for being a piece of shit, or you're one of his people. Kanye clearly falls into the latter now, which is, I guess, should be unsurprising at this point. He is scheduled, this is what's beautiful, he's scheduled to have a 15 to 20-minute conversation with Joel Osteen at the 11 a.m. service this Sunday. Now, first of all, the 11 a.m. service is just funny because they definitely gave him the option of the 9 a.m., and he chose the 11, which is exactly what I would do in high school when my mom would tell me we can either go to the 9 a.m. or the 11 a.m. church. I'd be like, well, I'm probably going to get pretty fucked up on Saturday night. Let's go to the 11 a.m.
Let's go to 11.
That's what Kanye's got going here. Second of all, 15 to 20 minutes. Joel, are you insane? He has never been restricted to 15 to 20 minutes. You putting a time cap on his amount of time to speak actively ensures that he will speak for at least an hour and a half. This church will no longer be Joel's by the time Sunday is over. Kanye is coming in with the Sunday service. This is an invasion, whether or not he's
going to make that service go so long. All the surrounding like Golden Corrals are going to be like, where are all the patrons? They're late.
Mike, nobody's ever made water come out of my nose on the show before.
You're welcome.
Holy shit. Yeah, Golden Corral. And then what's the other one that there's one in San Marcos that
I don't know.
Oh my God. It's like after church you go to one of three places. Golden Corral, there's another one that feels just like that, and there's a shop at the front when you're waiting to be seated.
Cracker Barrel.
Thank you, Mike. You can buy like puzzles and cool gizmos to put in stockings.
Duck Dynasty merchandise.
Yeah, and Duck Dynasty merchandise. Shouts to the Duck Dynasty family. Oh, man. Did those people end up being racist?
For sure.
Anti-shouts if they ended up being racist. I'm sure one of them got in trouble for racism at some point or something. This is just among the worst ideas that any human being has ever had by Joel Osteen. I mean, if you thought he couldn't dig himself deeper than actively refusing hurricane evacuees from his grounds, then you were wrong. This is going to be the next new low. I have seen Kanye West burn 15 to 20 minutes of multiple concerts, different shows, different years on the inefficiencies of Walt Disney's pulling bad bitches. He went off about this the first time I saw Yeezus, and then he went off on this to Watch the Throne. No, not Watch the Throne, because Jay would have held him in check. I can't remember what the second one was. But he was rambling about how Walt Disney never had a bad bitch like Kim for 20 minutes.
Okay.
You think he's going to do 15 to 20, Joel? You're out of your goddamn mind. This man has no idea what he's in for. He might actually, this could be what causes God to like raise this corrupt temple to the ground.
All of a sudden, the sinkhole is just going to open up.
Yes, this is the next great Mother Nature lashing out to stop what we're doing as humans is going to take place.
Wouldn't it suck if this is like correct? If this is what God wants, and wouldn't that suck?
Okay. So to answer your question, wouldn't it suck if God is up in heaven right now, looking down at the Kanye Joel situation, going, "Yes,
right,
that's what I wanted to happen."
It's like, do I have to be a Satanist now?
And I'm stoked on this. It just feels like that's very, very, very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
But yeah, that would suck, Mike. To answer your question, that would be pretty detrimental to the entire system of faith.
But I don't think God is hitting subscribe on this, so it's all good.
I really hope not. This is anyway. He'll take the pulpit a second time on Sunday at the 7 p.m. service once he's had time. That should tell you everything you need to know right there. He's going on at 11. You know when the next time he's going on? 11 a.m. The next time is 7 p.m. He could literally talk that entire time. It might happen. And the idea, apparently, came over the weekend when Kanye was in town for Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival. Here's a quote. This is just upsetting to even read. Kanye and Joel are friends. He's been wanting to come out for some time, and it just worked out for this weekend. Lakewood Church seats 16,000, has a congregation of close to 70,000. They've got about 45,000 members that attend each weekend, which is funny just because this podcast is bigger than that church at this point. Why can't we get Kanye in here?
Yeah.
Question that somebody needs to answer. And they said there is this is great, no concern about an influx of additional attendees with the high-profile Kanye West appearing at the church. I'm sorry, you're putting Kanye West in a literal stadium, the former Summit in Houston, Texas, very much a hip-hop town. And you're not worried about an additional influx of attendees. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it pays off for him. It says we'll have additional security, but we are not worried about it. You should be, though.
Yeah.
Like, you should have a lot of additional security. This is, in fact, like I would even like this is one. If I was a member of the church, I'd be like, you know what, I might sit this one out. Feels like this.
Yeah, I'll stream this at home.
This isn't the Sunday I'm gonna battle through the parking lot and like I-10 and shit. I mean, it's right there, man. Like right off I-10. It's fucking right there. Anyway, you can watch on television or Sirius XM if you've got that as well. A representative for Kanye West could not be reached for comment by this podcast. RBP 239 is also brought to you by Manscaped, a fantastic company who is finally providing men with the tools we need to properly maintain our downstairs mix-up. So if you're using a terrible and incorrect tool with which to trim or groom your pubic region, you are a buffoon. But you don't need to feel bad. This is a common issue for men. Most guys straight up don't know what products to use to clean ourselves up. For instance, in my past, I would retire my old electric facial hair razor, the one that I go up my face with, and I would just use that as my body hair tool. That's not what it's made for. You get nicks and cuts and snags. Let Manscaped come into your life where there's absolutely no fear in hurting your nuts with a nick or a cut or a snag ever again, thanks to their incredible Lawnmower 2.0. That's the name of the electric razor that they provide you with. It's phenomenal. Their complete manscaping system includes that Lawnmower 2.0, the rechargeable waterproof trimmer with skin-safe technology for a nick-free trim. But everything that they make, all their products, specially formulated to cleanse, moisturize, and deodorize your smelly balls. Manscaped also offers tools engineered to give every gentleman a close, refined appearance, empowering men by providing the right tools for the right job. You just go to manscaped.com, MANSCAPED, manscaped.com. Use the code RBP. Get 20% off your entire order. Manscaped.com, code RBP, 20% off your entire order. Your balls will thank you, Bumblebee Tuna. Next segment, good news to carry with you. So I was like, too often on this show do I make fun of a bunch of stuff and then we leave. So I'm going to make fun of a bunch of stuff, but then I want to give you a positive to go out on. And if you're in Houston and you were like, good Lord, what have we done? Joel, Kanye coming together. I'll give you one even better. Houston, this one is a Houston story. It's a good story. There's video of it that's very, very cool that I'll put up on our Instagram a little bit later this afternoon if somebody reminds me or if I don't forget. Just depends on how my brain's doing today. But, okay, here's the story, Mike. Beltway 8 in Houston is fucking chaos. It's fucking, at all hours of the day, it's chaos. And this is, I believe, during rush hour, if I'm not mistaken. It looked like rush hour. A lot of cars. There's a dog that gets loose on Beltway 8 in Houston. Now, that's not an unusual thing. Animals get loose all the time, right? It's, it happens. This particular one, there was a wreck. The dog's owner was in a wreck on the feeder road, the elevated feeder road. The dog escaped and sprinted a half mile down the feeder. And then here's the beauty of it. I mean, this dog's toast. If you've ever been on a feeder and been driving and you pass a dog that's gotten out, it's devastating because you're like, well, shit, that dog's probably a goner. It's very tough for a dog to make it across like a fucking highway, for instance, or whatever. Like they don't have that type of insight into how vehicles work or traffic laws. It goes without saying. I don't know why I'm giving you that. What did anyone listening think that dogs knew?
Dogs are not people.
Traffic law. That's Thank you, Mike. That's the end of my explanation. Dogs, different species of animal. Thank you. Anyway, so this dog's fucked, right? No. The beautiful thing, the good news to carry with you out of the show today is that, like, one by one, these drivers, mostly in SUVs, speeding down the Houston highway, doing 80. I don't know where you live or where you're from, but here in Austin, people drive, like, safe shit, 15, 20 miles an hour under the speed limit. If it rains or any type of weather change takes place, they all just fucking stop.
Yeah.
It's hell. In Houston, the more dangerous the road conditions, the faster and more reckless people drive.
I've noticed that.
It's incredible. I love it. It's survival of the fittest. It is absolutely...
It's like a Mad Max movie.
It is. It's very dangerous. And it's every time I go back, I'm like, I forget that I've become a little bit softer being here just a little bit too long in Austin. And I've got to, like, get myself a little more jacked up to survive on the Houston highway. Every single person hurtling towards this poor dog comes to a stop. Like, one by one, car stops. The car behind them that could have slammed into them slowly comes to a stop. This is like a 75-mile-an-hour fucking freeway, okay? And the beauty of it is, so car stops. Guy's got his phone out videoing this whole thing. They're trying to hurdle this dog. It turns out the dog is a rescue dog. I mean,
wow.
Watching car by car stop and these people put themselves at risk just to save this random dog is so bizarre. And here's one of the witnesses there said that all these rows of cars are pulling over trying to help, and no one is complaining about it. No one is honking. Not a single honk, said one witness. Nobody was angry. And here's the thing.
No honks?
This is what struck me.
Yeah.
If this is a human being, people are going out of their way to actively attempt to hit him or her on the highway to clear the highway.
Get a job, motherfucker.
And angry wouldn't even begin to describe the scene. If it's a human being on the highway causing this traffic. Yeah. I mean, you always hear stories about, like, you know, like in New York, like dude dying on the subway and then nobody recognizing for like 2 days. We are shit. We hate each other. We don't do anything for you. We're fucking awful.
Yeah.
But if the dog gets loose on the freeway, everybody's slamming on the brakes, trying to fucking stop to save the dog. It's just fine. Like, I've said it before and I've said it again. There are a lot of people who like dogs more than people that would prefer the company of furry animals over other human beings. You might be looking at a couple of them. It's seriously, Joe, is consider how nicely you would treat a stray dog versus a stray human. Like, this is not just calling other people out. I'm calling myself out, too. Like, I pass a dog that's out in my neighborhood, and I stop my car, and I try to help that dog and make sure it gets back to where it needs to be. You know what I mean? You see a dog, a stray dog, a lost dog, you try to help. Come here, Poochie, give him a treat. You see a human, a stray human, a lost human in your neighborhood, you're probably calling the police. Stay the fuck away from me. I will mace your crusty ass. Like,
lock the doors.
Yeah, you're locking the windows on your car and shit. Like, it's just it's a thing to keep in mind. Especially for dog people. And for me, I'm calling me out too. Like, I do not have trouble showing warmth or love to animals.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do with people. And I'm very quick to forgive animals. I'm not very quick to forgive people a lot of the time. And that's a shame. That's a shame. We should be more kind to each other and be more willing to help each other. Because frankly, look, I love dogs, but dogs are dogs, and human beings are human beings, and we got to take care of each other just like we take care of our furry friends too. That being said, I'm going to say there are under 20 people on this earth who I would sacrifice my dogs for.
Okay.
So, yeah. For most of you, if you're like, if there's a dude waving a gun back and forth at my dogs and you, I'm picking you. You're gone. Yeah. Sorry. I'm just saying, just being real. And I know that's the case for a lot of y'all too. You're like, if I had to pick Ross between you or my dogs, I'd pick my dogs. I get that. I'm just saying, think about it. And I'm only saying think about it so that if the situation arises where you're having to pick between your dogs and me, just consider me. Just consider the podcast and having to change the title with like a new host, the fucking Steve Miller podcast or
Right.
something. Like, you don't want that. You want this, the Ross Bolen podcast. And on that note, if you would, make extra effort this week, this holiday season, this November, moving into December, the end of 2019, to share this show with other people. You know, I always end the show telling you you've been saddled with 2 legal obligations as a result of having listened to this entire podcast. That your first one is to rate and review, specifically on Apple Podcasts. Your second legal obligation is to tell one person, whether it's a friend, a family member, a coworker, a neighbor, yada, yada, yada. Listen, I love y'all. Y'all have been so awesome in helping me to grow this platform, grow this show, grow this podcast, this brand, this company over the course of the last several months as I went out on my own with Bolen Media, and I could not be more appreciative. That being said, I do have to ask that at the end of this year, we make another push to try to take shit to another level. Okay. Now, I've already mentioned one of the ways you can do that on Patreon. All right. If you ever thought, man, I wish I had more RBP, more episodes. Well, you get 2 additional ad-free exclusive episodes a month on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. You also get the entire backlog of content. If you joined right now for November, you get instant access to everything from October, August, July, June. We've got a great guest coming this month, a special guest episode each month. This month is Mike Burns. We do a hotline call extravaganza every month. You get video of this episode in full. If you just listen to it and you're like, man, I wish I could have seen that water come out of Ross's nose. I think I actually ducked behind the table to like spray it onto the ground here, Mike, if you got a vacuum of some kind or maybe a towel.
I do.
You could have seen that on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. I'll probably put the video up in the next couple of days. It takes a little bit longer to render and shit, but before Friday, I'll say. Full video of this episode will be up, and there's at least 8 other episodes on there as well already for you to watch in full. It's a very fun added element, the video element, and obviously it's going to result in a lot of cool social media stuff for us as well. But support the show on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, and then go above and beyond at the end of this year to word of mouth share the podcast. That's still the most valuable thing you could do for me as a listener. It's just suggest the show to somebody else. You know, people are always constantly tweeting out or putting up Instagram stories that say, like, what's your favorite podcast? Or recommend your favorite podcast. Like, that's all you got to take 2 seconds to type that shit in there, man. That's it. That's all I ask, is that you share the show at any opportunity you're given. That you try to grow the RBP gang based on the fact that hopefully you not only find this to be an entertaining, a funny show, but also heartfelt, hopefully that makes you think a little bit about life, how you live it, and how maybe you could be living it better, and stuff like that, and get perspectives from a whole bunch of different walks of life and career paths and stories from people who have found their way or are continuing to try to find their way in an effort to maybe help you do that yourself or whatever. I think we've got something very special going here. This community has been an unbelievable lifesaver for me. And I know for a lot of people in it as well. So let's keep it going. Let's make it bigger and badder and continue the push upward, the climb. Chaos is a ladder. Patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. Share the show. Tell people about it. Tell the people. Your legal obligations, I listed them already. Follow us on Instagram at the Ross Bolen Podcast. We're on Twitter at Ross Bolen Pod. And you can find us on Facebook if you're the middle-aged aunt of one of our listeners. You can follow me, Ross Bolen, on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at WRBOLEN, at WRBolen on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, where you'll get updates about pretty much anything and everything I do. Also, listen to Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, our television and film podcast here at Bolen Media. It's available wherever RBP is available. We're continuing our coverage of HBO's Watchmen and diving into his dark materials this week as well. Mike, speaking of which, where can we hear more from you, more of your projects, follow you on social? Hit us with some deets, Mike.
Twitter's the best. Follow me on Twitter at Mike Moody. And I produce a Watchmen podcast. So if you're into HBO's Watchmen, it's whopodsthewatchmen.com. I want to give a shout out to the gang. There's people on the
Twitch.
On the Twitch feed today.
Yeah.
Giving us shout outs for the video, giving me shout outs for like doing the co-hosting and switching the cameras and running the audio. So
Sounds like it's you giving you a shout out for doing all those things.
no, there's actually people.
I'm just fucking with you, Mike.
Yeah.
Dude, Mike, it should
It's
be
awesome.
said.
Thank you.
Huge shouts to you and Grant at Permanent Record here.
We're working on it.
These guys and I have sort of gotten to grow our setup together, if you will.
Yeah.
Over the past several months, and we went from like a solid podcast setup to a full There's like 6 cameras pointed at me and a screen behind me and shit. People watching live on Twitch.com/Boss Rollin'. People gonna be able to watch the video on Patreon later. Just for the record, if you're listening and you're still here with me, In 2020, the idea is to get video widely available to everybody. But for the time being, because we need the financial support and because we need the setup and to continue to get things strategically in place rolling into 2020, that's why we're doing Patreon for now, right? So, like, it's at least a couple more months if that's the only place you're going to be able to get that video. So go there and do it. But these guys have been so helpful to me and so awesome and understanding and flexible. I'm probably one of the more difficult, like, podcast in a nice way. I don't mean this in like I'm not a dick, but I am like a very chaotic and unorganized human being that results in just nonstop schedule changing, and these guys are always accommodating me. They've been incredible. If you're ever in Austin and looking to record a show, you don't have to look very far. Permanent Record on South Congress is incredible.
Thank you.
Of course. And that will do it for RBP 241, recorded and produced by Mike Moody and Grant Davis at Permanent Record Studios in Austin, Texas. We will be back soon for episode 242, RBP 242 coming soon. Podman gets paid. Strength and honor. Gang, gang, gang. Peace be with you and also with you.
Go low, baby.